Hello, friends. This is Jed Distler. I'm the official Chopin Competition blogger for Gramophone magazine, and I am here with you live in Warsaw in the press room for the 19th International Chopin Competition. And there's quite a lot of activity in this press room all the time. You get here really early in the morning, and the first place everyone goes to is the espresso machine. Understandably so, and I'm not going to tell you how many espressos I've had because I've been burning the candle at both ends, going to all of the performances from stage one and starting yesterday with stage two, and then going back to my hotel room and blogging about the events and getting, I don't know, maybe 4 hours sleep. But I feel very refreshed today because this is the first of a series of daily recaps where I'm going to talk about what we heard yesterday. Yesterday we had the first day of stage two, and it got off to a strong start. We had 5 performers in the morning session, and we had 5 performers in the evening. Now for stage two, what makes this stand out in terms of repertoire is that every candidate is required to play a selection of 6 preludes minimum from Chopin's 24 preludes, opus 28. And you are supposed to play those 6 preludes in order of succession, meaning that one can choose a contiguous group of 6, like you can play preludes numbers 7 through 12 in order, or you can do 13 through 18 or 19 through 24 and so on and so forth. And 3 of the pianists we heard yesterday did exactly that. But one also has the option of playing the entire cycle of 24 preludes. And we had 3 pianists who did so. And it was the pianist Jack Gao from China who, to my mind, gave the most consistently satisfying account of this cycle. He has everything that one could wish for in the Chopin preludes. He has a big and luminous sound, and he knows exactly how to plan out his navigation of the music's virtuosic peaks and its lyrical valleys. And it was a very impressive performance and really big thinking and very centered and always musically interesting. On the other hand, Piotr Alexievich, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I'm sorry if I'm not, I found his performance of the preludes really quite uneven, and I was a little disappointed in light of the marvelous performance that he gave of the F minor Fantasy in stage one, which is a real keeper. Sometimes in the preludes, his soft playing got buried under what I thought was too much pedal. And he also had some unfortunate missteps in that barn burner of a 16th prelude, which is basically an etude. And I think that the little things that gone wrong in that prelude must have either angered or frustrated him because he just seemed to lose focus from prelude number 17 onward. But there were some great moments, such as his truly assertive way with the etude-like prelude number 8, where all of the textural strands were just perfectly proportioned and organized. It was a marvelous performance. And also, he really gave an assertive number 14, which is basically a study in unison lines. I had great hopes for Jackie Zhang and his complete reading of the preludes based on the great promise that he showed in his absolutely terrific stage one set. Now, he played the more extroverted preludes with great flair and style and proportion, but for reasons that I really can't fathom, his slower and introspective preludes sounded relatively slow and, I would say, kind of self-important. I mean, his reading of the Raindrop Prelude got heavier and stickier as it progressed, and it was as if those droplets of water, those little raindrops, were slowly turning into green and sticky oobleck. Okay, do you know what oobleck is? Do you remember that Dr. Seuss book called Bartholomew and the Oobleck? Well, if you know that book, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I highly recommend it. It's a great children's book. Who else was wonderful? I am a big fan of the German pianist Jonas Almiller, and he is really a classicist to the manner born, and he did bring an expressive economy and a kind of classical reserve to the Prelude in C-sharp minor, opus 45. And that contrasted quite a lot to the more expansive romanticism that we heard from Zhuhang Chen, who played very well in his set by and large, but it was unfortunate that he had to follow another pianist who has the same last name, and I'm talking about Kevin Chen. And Kevin Chen is a super virtuoso like you've never heard. I mean, has anyone ever heard the 12 etudes from Opus 10 played so inhumanly fast, yet still accounting for detail and shape? Several of the performances in this set couldn't be bettered, such as Opus 10 number 1, the study in C major, and also Opus 10 number 2. I mean, I just couldn't imagine the combination of speed and detail. Yet, with some of the other etudes at such supersonic speeds, one risks losing the musical meaning. And I'll give you an example. You're never going to hear a faster and more accurate black key etude today on planet Earth, at least based on what I heard yesterday. But, where was the pizzazz? Where was that je perlé? And where was that impish humor that is slower yet much more characterful and texturally contrasted performance might deliver? I'm thinking about how Vladimir Horowitz used to play that etude, because he took a slower tempo, but the etude just spoke and it flew and it talked. It was a whole different kettle of fish. On the other hand, this kind of super proficiency that Kevin Chen has, I think worked in favor of the heroic A-flat major polonaise, opus 53. And the way he plays those left-hand octaves, I think have more proficiency and more accuracy and more point than in how most pianists play single notes. I mean, this pianist is just simply a phenomenon. So who else should I be talking about? Well, I want to talk about everybody else. Yubo Dang stood out in a rather Horowitzian performance of the F-sharp Polonaise, opus 44, which Jonas Almiller also played very well. And the pianist Kaimin Chang played the rarely heard Chopin Sonata No. 1, which is a student work that nobody cares about. But this pianist really sold the presto finale movement, and he made total child's play out of those difficult double note passages. Even better, though, was how Ziji Chen took also disregarded and rarely played Rondo Opus 1, and he made the salon piece sound important. You know, this is basically virtuoso fluff, but in the hands of Zizi Chen, I don't think I've ever heard this piece played better. At least I don't think I've heard it played better. However, it was the Chinese pianist Yan Yan Bao who again showed in everything she touched levels of artistic maturity and cultivation that I think are eons beyond her 18 years. There's a genuine musicality and an authentic emotional core that govern her fastidious sense of detail. And I'm talking about both micro and macro levels of detail. And her articulation of upbeats reveals this gift that she has for effecting transitions that I think eludes a lot of pianists, even some of the most famous pianists. And what I mean by that is, let's say if you were playing piano for a dance class and the dance instructor says, and that word and means that you know exactly when you have to start. It's that sense of upbeat. And boom, this is a transition. And it's that andness in her playing, for lack of a better word, that really made an impression. Now, she played in stage 1 a rendition of the Winter Wind Etude, where the left hand was basically the driver. And I would say the same thing about her absolutely incredible account of the 16th Prelude, where the left-hand detail was really shaping the whole interpretation. Not that her amazing right-hand work was too shabby, not at all. But it was her performance of the fourth ballade that fused urgency and refinement and poetry and virtuoso sheen, as well as aching vulnerability, in a way that added up to one of the most fulfilling performances of this work in a competition where we heard a lot of really distinctive performances of the fourth ballade. I thought this one was really quite special. It's probably too early to speculate about how far this gifted pianist is going to proceed in the competition, but I can say that her fourth ballade deserves its own gold medal. From Warsaw, this is Jed Distler, and I look forward to being with you next time when we talk about Stage 2, Day number 2 in the 19th International Chopin Competition. Stay well.